Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the Decisions Lunch and Learn. My name is Darren. I will be answering any questions that you guys have about the tool. Um, if you would like to ask a question, just feel free to use the Zoom components to raise your hand and we will answer those. Okay, it looks like we do have a question. Is there a way not to show flow completed message after somebody works an assignment via link from email? A completed message after someone works an assignment. Let's see. And are you referring to where are you seeing the specific message after the flow? Let me see. Email link. I think that may be a inform that pops up. There may be a way to disable that. That's something that I can look into, but I'm not entirely sure. But there should be some form of a inform that's a part of that assignment flow that can probably be disabled. I'm just not sure how off the top of my head, but that may be possible. But if I'm right, you're talking about the like when you get a email assignment, you click on the assignment and you complete it, you're seeing a flow completed message after the end of that for the end user, right? Okay. Okay. Let's see, can you briefly walk me through using a data flow on a data repeater, specifically using the output of the data flow to create a list, to then process using run flows for list? I can try. Give me 1 second.
I don't think I wrote that as clearly as I could have.
No
So,
worries.
okay, I have a case entity that has at the moment 2 nested data structures.
Mhm.
So the case entity is going to relate to a client and the data structures are going to relate to types of accounts. So I'm going to have a data repeater that has on it the ability to enter how many accounts you'd like to open and which of the 2 types they are.
Mhm.
Now, I know that I can't, in my case, it's a financial services thing, so I'm doing in an investment account and a retirement account. I know that I can't, by selecting investment or retirement in the data repeater, cause the rest of the fields to be written into the correct data structure. I know that.
Mhm.
The correct nested data structure. So I can create a temporary data structure based on how many accounts you put in the repeater. That works.
Mhm.
And what I need to do is take the stuff out of the temporary data structure and get it into a list so that I can write it to the structure where it belongs.
Mhm.
And no matter what I do, I can't get it to recognize the list.
Okay. So that's something that I think is possible. Before we proceed, how do you pronounce your first name? I've spoken with you so many times, and I feel like I've said it incorrectly. I want to make sure that I say your name correctly. Can you help me with that, please?
Okay, so I tell people to say it Murray,
Okay.
but only if you've taken French will I tell you that it's actually Mireille.
Ah. Okay.
So, yes. But if
I
you've never
have.
taken French, you won't be able to make that sound, so don't worry about it.
Okay. I have, but I don't want to shame my French teacher by mispronouncing it again. So I will say Murray. So thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, so this is something I think we can do. However, I would actually like to take a bit more time than what we have on a lunch and learn to kind of go over your use case and
Okay.
kind of walk through it with you. Is it okay if I submit a ticket for you and we meet? I actually have some time today and tomorrow. Would you be able to hop on a call with me just on a normal support call and kind of walk through that?
I will, as long as you're willing to just show me, because the other problem is that I currently only have access to version 6. I'm in line for an upgrade to version 8, but it hasn't been done yet.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's something that I can do for you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I have your information. So let me quickly do that. I can actually grab the asks that you have here and I'll create a ticket. Just bear with me for one moment.
No problem.
And I'll do that. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and mark this question as answered just so that we have it out of the queue. And if anyone has any other questions, feel free while I do that for Murray. So yeah, I created an example with data repeaters very recently. So I think that's what we'll use. But just per your use case, I want to make sure that we get that correct.
Okay,
And we
perfect.
kind of,
That would be wonderful.
excellent, excellent. Okay, cool. So let me do that for you. And anyone else, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, Wade has a question. Hey, Wade.
Hello. Had a question. We just you can hear me, correct?
I can.
Okay, gotcha. We just recently or are still in the attempts of trying to get our single sign-on going. One of the steps I'm having trouble with is, so we were, started the account, the word username, password. We just converted to single sign-on and just going through the errors. But one of the things is, like, my account is set up as username password, and I need to change that. And then the documentation, it says to convert a standard account into an SSO account, modify the following account fields via Flow or SQL.
Mhm.
Where can I go to update via SQL? Is there like a SQL editor built into this, or?
Yes, that's an excellent question, and there is a query editor tool that you can use in Decisions. What version of Decisions are you currently running?
8, let me see that. 8 something, 8.8.1.
Okay, perfect. So I can actually I can show you really quickly what that process to get to the query editor looks like, and it's really simple. So let's see. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see this Decision Studio?
Yes.
Okay, so really easy. Typically, all you need to do is find a designer folder. I always suggest using My Apps because that's one that's usually still there, even though, most end users don't really use it. You can still use it as a designer folder. So you just right click and go down to Other. and you have the option for query editor here. So in the query editor, you can run whatever queries for whatever tables. And so in your case, for the account, you would it would be like update entity account where I think it's authentication type. If I can spell, that would help. Authentication type. Well, actually, let me see. From updating where authentication type is, and like it would be, I think for username and password, it's labeled as like password or something like that. Let me see. Actually, let's double check. Oh, from entity. Did they list the fields that you needed in that documentation?
It has, let's see, believe it says authentication type or
Mhm,
authentication underscore type. It says change to either OpenID or SAML.
mhm. Yeah.
I don't know if that, then there's user identifier and user provider ID.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's completely dependent on what type of SSO you're using. So depending on if you're using OpenID or SAML, you would fill in those respective fields. But yeah, you would use either a flow, or the easiest method to do that would be to use the query editor, in my opinion. And you just write a query to update the entity account table for that specific record. And you'd update, like it says, either you update the authentication type for either OpenID or SAML, depending on what you're using.
Okay. And is this where within the SAML setup, it said you could use email, transient ID or persistent ID. I selected persistent and then an autofill a field called user underscore ID. Is that what, like, where does that show up in here? Is that where that shows up at?
If I don't think so. At least I think that there would be a specific settings table where that would be. You mean for the actual SSO setup, correct?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there should be a table for your SSO settings, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not entirely sure. But if you like, that's something I can follow up with you, at least in terms of that particular ask. So you said it was the let me stop sharing my screen so I can take some quick notes. So what fields did you say that you selected versus what was filled in automatically?
Because within, trying to get to the exact field, I think I go here and then SAML, trying to go to the where the doc says it.
Mhm.
Oh, here it is. Oh, it's whenever you're setting up, and we're specifically setting up Azure SAML, it has in there name ID policy and it defaults to email, but you can also use transient ID or persistent ID. When I selected persistent ID, it added a field underneath and it said user identifier, and then it automatically filled in user underscore ID. I was like, okay, well, I need to update this user underscore ID field with whatever, ID of our company's idea for this user. But I don't know where to, like, where is that for me to update?
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that may be a bit different than what we. I don't think it's the actual user ID. Well, yeah, user ID for the company sounds right, but that's something I like to confirm before I flat out say that that's what that is. I can check with our SSO to be sure.
Okay, yeah, it was kind of confusing because when you go to the account, there's a field called user identifier, and that's
Mhm.
kind of what it's asking for, but it's as if, you're creating a new field and calling it whatever you want. It just defaulted to user ID. But then I'm like, I don't know where that is to update. I was like, well, I'll put in the ID. I know what it is. I just don't know where to update it
Gotcha.
because
Okay. Yeah.
it doesn't appear on the user's account as like additional field. It just created it just I don't know, it's somewhere, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, if you can you in the chat, you can like direct message in the chat to specific panelists or to the panelists. Can you drop your email as well as the documentation that you're using to set that up so I can see where it's directing you and where it's kind of confusing because we are trying to kind of clean these docs up. Um, yeah, if you can drop that link and your email so I can reach out to you when I actually get that information from Pfizer.
Yep,
Um,
yep, sure can. Will
yeah.
do, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Stephen has a question. Is there a way to see all users that are currently logged into decisions? Um, Let me see. I know you can see all current users that are logged in. Give me 1 second, Stephen. I think I can find that for you. Nothing is active. Let's see. I'm actually not sure. And I just got that from you, Wade. Thank you so much. So let me grab that document. Okay. Yes, Stephen, give me second. Let me check to see how we can do that. I believe this has been asked before.
Can you hear me,
And
Darren?
yes, I can. How are you,
Yeah,
Steve?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I know we can write a flow to do it, but I didn't want to go write a flow for something that might already exist. And the thought is, sometimes you need to restart services or whatever. It'd be nice to know who's on the system so you can communicate to them.
Gotcha. Yeah, let me quickly confirm for you. Yeah, out of the box, I'm not sure if there's a way. I know we can do that kind of with a flow, but let me see. Because typically, if you can do it with a flow, there's usually a report that can do it as well, or at least a report filter that can do the same thing. So let me quickly check and see if there's a way to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Let me see. Oh. Vitaly pointed out. So there's a system administration, system tools, event viewer, active users report. So I can show you that. Now, is it something you would want to put on like a dashboard?
Yeah, ultimately, what I'll do is we'll write a flow we'll use this maybe and write a flow to, be able to notify people that, hey, system will be down for, 15 minutes from this time to this time.
Mm-hmm.
Please log off, save data, log off, that sort of stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah. Let me show you. So this is the out of the box report, just to show you where you can access. So administration, system tools, and then event viewer. And they have this tab at the top that can show you the active users.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and currently I'm the
Yeah, I
only one,
figured there
so
was some place to get there, but that's awesome.
I say yeah.
Thank you.
Usually, if it's something like that, that shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Okay, finally opens support ticket. Okay, Maria, just for your information, I went ahead and submitted that ticket, so you should receive that soon. Did anyone else have any questions? So far, pull this up then. Okay, so let's do this then. Okay. Okay, well, since we don't have any immediate questions, I will share this with you guys in case you haven't seen it already. So Decisions is reaching end of life support for version 6 and prior. Um, Feel free to take down the information on the slide. As of March 1st, end of general support for version 6 has taken place. And this total cessation of the end of life support, including critical services, will be on June 1st, 2023. So as of now, if you do have critical issues for anything in version 6 and you need support for that, feel free to submit a ticket for it. But as of June 1st, that support will end as well. So just in case you guys did not know, Decisions end of life support is coming along and will be completed as of June 1st, 2023. And also, if you guys were curious about the current Decisions product roadmap, every other Thursday we do share information about the platform. So if you guys would like to take a look into that, that is an option. I will probably take a link for this registration page and drop that in the chat in case you would like it. But yeah, just a few bits of information for you all in case you did not know. Check and see if we have any other questions. Can you please check if Inform session creates page variables when navigate option is selected. Yes, give me a second and I can check that really quickly for you. Oops. So for everyone's information, that product roadmap registration link is in the chat for everyone. And then let's see. So let me take a look at this. So can you please check if inform session creates page variables? Yep, let me try that really quickly. That is for the navigate option.
Hey, Darren. I just realized we can't see your screen.
Oh, give me 1 second. Here you go. Can you guys see my decisions?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're asking for page variables, this is giving you an idea of what you're asking for. I'm not sure what the ask is exactly. See, actually, let me see this creative. Just specify parameter. These. Value off. So that everyone see what Caitlin posted in the chat. See, I'm not sure if that answers your question. If you guys can see the input that we have here after we make the changes for specifying parameters, if that shows you, we do have a page name. I'm not sure what variables you're looking to see specifically. Is there a way to restart a decisions hosted server without contacting support? Okay, while I wait for that answer, Wade is asking, is there a way to restart a decisions hosted server without contacting support? To answer that question in more current versions of the tool, there is not. Previously, we did have that option available in version 6 and prior. I'm not sure if we had it in 7, but when we moved to 8, that's something that was removed. So we don't have an option to restart services like we used to. And that was for the purposes of making sure that on those hosted servers, if there is a scenario where a restart may do more harm than good, we would rather you come through support and have that restart done that way, as opposed to having the ability to do it yourself and it causes something catastrophic, or it causes an issue where we're in a disaster recovery situation. So in previous versions of the tool, we did have that option. We do not have that. At least I know in version 8. Not sure if it's in version 7 though. I hope that answered your question. See question for okay, that's can test and see if the parameter shows in the URL. Let's debug and see. Once again, this is something I've used before. If you can see what you're asking, please let me know. If not, this is something that you probably want to ask in a support ticket, because I'm not 100% sure if I know what you're looking to see in this particular step. So let's see, I'm not seeing any other questions. I don't think we have any other attendees left with questions. So yeah, you guys, I think, let me see, what's my suggestion? So Vitaly, like in terms of that particular ask, we do want to try to keep, if a customer is hosted by Decisions, we want to try to make sure that they at least go through the protocols of reaching out to support if they do need a restart, to try to avoid any future issues if a restart isn't needed before we assess whether an issue needs that or not. Okay, so let me see if there are any. Yeah, okay, if there aren't any other questions, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. And please reference the chat for that registration link if you did want to check out the roadmap. But yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. If you have any other questions, feel free to submit a support ticket and we'd be happy to help. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Darren.